Ava Ramirez steps off a bus with nothing but a photo of her sister and a heart full of guilt. A remote farm promises work, shelter, and a man who sees past her scars. But when a $7 million offer threatens everything, will she finally stop running? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from today. The bus screeched to a halt at the dusty roadside stop. Ava Ramirez was the only passenger to step down, clutching her worn backpack to her chest like it contained everything that mattered in the world. In truth, it held almost nothing, just a crumpled bus ticket and a photo of her sister, Maria. "End of the line, miss," the driver called out before closing the doors. Eva stood alone as the bus pulled away, leaving a cloud of dust that settled on her already dirty clothes. She looked down at her phone. Dead for 2 days now. The sign ahead read, "Riverbend, 3 miles." She adjusted her backpack and started walking, each step a reminder of the blisters that had formed on her feet. The afternoon sun beat down on her shoulders as she followed the narrow country road. Sweat mixed with dirt on her face, but she didn't bother wiping it away. What was the point? She'd been traveling for weeks now, picking up odd jobs just long enough to earn bus fare to the next town. Running. Always running. 2 years hadn't been enough time to outrun the memories. The farm appeared on the horizon, a weathered barn, fields of corn stretching out behind it, and a modest 2-story farmhouse with a wide front porch. A sign at the entrance read, "Riverbend Farm, Esther 1952. Eva had heard in the last town that they might need seasonal help here. One more place. A few days' work, then move on again. She approached the house slowly, rehearsing what to say. Nobody wanted to hire someone who looked as desperate as she felt. The wooden steps of the porch creaked under her weight as she raised her hand to knock on the door. A dog barked somewhere inside and Eva almost turned to leave. But then the door swung open. Noah Callahan stood in the doorway, wiping his hands on a dish towel. His tall frame filled the entrance, broad shoulders shaped by years of physical labor. He had dark hair that curled slightly at the ends and needed a trim, a strong jaw with several days' stubble, and eyes that were startlingly kind. Eva had expected the usual dismissive once-over she got everywhere else. Instead, Noah looked directly at her, really saw her, dirt-streaked face, trembling hands, and the exhaustion she couldn't hide. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice deep and calm. Eva cleared her throat. "I heard you might need help for harvest season." Noah studied her for a moment. A golden retriever appeared at his side, sniffing curiously at Eva. "Daisy back," Noah said gently. The dog obeyed but kept her eyes on the visitor. "You heard right. Harvest starts next week." Eva tried to stand straighter, to look stronger than she felt. "I'm a hard worker. I don't need much pay, just—" She swallowed hard, hating how her voice cracked. "Just a place to stay for a while." Something in Noah's expression softened. He didn't ask where she'd come from or why she was alone. He didn't comment on her appearance or the way her hands wouldn't stop trembling. Instead, he simply said, "You look like you need a place to stay. You can start in the morning." Eva blinked, surprised by the easy acceptance. "Really?" Noah nodded. "There's a bunkhouse behind the barn. It's basic, but it's clean. Got its own bathroom, too." He gestured toward the back of the property. "I can show you." Tears threatened to spill, but Eva fought them back. She hadn't cried in front of anyone since the night of the fire. She wouldn't start now. "Thank you," she managed. "I'm Noah Callahan." He extended his hand. "Ava Ramirez." Her smaller hand disappeared in his calloused grip. "You hungry, Eva Ramirez?" The question caught her off guard. She couldn't remember her last real meal. "I'm fine." Noah's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. "Didn't ask if you were fine. Asked if you were hungry." 20 minutes later, Eva sat at Noah's kitchen table, a bowl of homemade stew in front of her. The kitchen was neat but clearly a man's domain, functional rather than decorative. A few framed photos hung on the walls, mostly of an older couple Eva assumed were his parents. "Eat," Noah encouraged, setting a glass of water and a slice of bread beside her bowl. "I need to check on something in the barn. Make yourself at home." When he left, Eva finally allowed herself to eat. The stew was simple but delicious, and she had to force herself not to devour it too quickly. Daisy the dog lay at her feet, occasionally looking up with hopeful eyes. "No handouts," Noah said when he returned, though his tone was gentle. "She's got her own dinner coming." Eva nodded, embarrassed to be caught sharing a bit of bread with the dog. "Sorry, no need to apologize. Daisy has that effect on everyone." Noah poured himself a cup of coffee and leaned against the counter. "So, farm experience?" "Some," Eva said. It wasn't entirely a lie. She'd worked on farms before, just never for very long. "I can learn whatever I don't know," Noah nodded. "Harvest is hard work. Early mornings, long days. I don't mind hard work. I figured as much." He studied her for a moment, then added, "Finish your dinner. I'll show you to the bunkhouse after." The bunkhouse was a small cabin behind the barn. Inside was a single room with a bed, a nightstand, a small table with 2 chairs, and a tiny bathroom. It was simple but clean, just as Noah had said. "Sheets are fresh," Noah told her, flipping on the light. "Bathrooms got towels, water heaters small, so keep showers short." Eva stepped inside, clutching her backpack. It was more privacy than she'd had in weeks. "This is a thank you," Noah shrugged. "It's not much." "It's perfect," she said, meaning it. "We start at 5 tomorrow. There's an alarm clock in the drawer." He hesitated, then added, "Lock your door at night. Not because of me, just good practice." "Out here?" Eva nodded. "I will." After Noah left, Eva sat on the edge of the bed, feeling the softness of a real mattress beneath her. She pulled out the photo of Maria from her backpack, the last picture taken before the fire. Her sister was Ma. Smiling, her arm around Eva's shoulders. "I found a place to stay," Eva whispered to the photo. "Just for a little while." She knew she shouldn't get comfortable. Staying in one place meant risking attachments, and attachments meant pain when it was time to leave again. And it was always time to leave again. But for tonight, she had a locked door, a warm bed, and a full stomach. For tonight, that was enough. Morning arrived with the sound of a rooster crowing. Eva jolted awake, momentarily confused by her surroundings. The clock read 4:30 a.m. She showered quickly, the hot water a luxury she'd almost forgotten, and dressed in her cleanest clothes, which weren't very clean at all. When she stepped outside, the sky was just beginning to lighten. Dew covered the grass and a thin mist hung over the fields. The farmhouse windows glowed yellow against the blue pre-dawn light. Noah was already in the kitchen when she knocked on the back door. He wore a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up and faded jeans. "Morning," he said, pushing a mug of coffee across the counter toward her. "Sleep okay?" Eva nodded, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. "Yes, thank you." "Good." He turned back to the stove where scrambled eggs sizzled in a pan. Breakfast first, then work. They ate in companionable silence. Eva couldn't remember the last time she'd shared a meal with someone without feeling the need to explain herself, to justify her presence. After breakfast, Noah led her to the barn. "We're preparing for harvest this week, checking equipment, fixing what needs fixing, getting the storage bins ready." He showed her around the farm, the cornfields that stretched out behind the house, the smaller plots where he grew vegetables, the orchard with apple and pear trees heavy with fruit. "It's a lot for one person," Eva observed. Noah nodded. "Used to be my parents' place, they're gone now. I hire seasonal help for harvest, but rest of the year it's just me and Daisy." Eva wanted to ask what happened to his parents, but decided against it. She didn't want him asking about her past either. The work was physically demanding but straightforward. Noah was patient, showing her how to check the tractor and other equipment, explaining what needed to be done. By mid-afternoon, Eva's muscles ached, but it was a good kind of pain, the kind that came from useful work rather than running away. "Take a break," Noah called, bringing her a bottle of water. "You've been at it for hours." Eva accepted the water, gratefully. "I'm fine." "There's that word again," Noah said, the corner of his mouth lifting slightly. "Fine." "What's wrong with fine?" "Nothing. Just doesn't tell me much." He sat on a hay bale, gesturing for her to join him. "You don't have to talk, but you don't have to pretend either. Eva remained standing, unsure what to make of his words. No one had bothered to look beneath her fine in a long time. "I should get back to work," she said finally. Noah didn't push. He simply nodded and stood. "We'll finish up in an hour. Got a delivery coming I need to sign for." That evening, after dinner, Eva returned to the bunkhouse to find a small bundle on the porch step, clean towels and a bar of soap. No note, just the simple items left where she would find them. The gesture brought unexpected tears to her eyes. It had been so long since anyone had shown her even this small kindness, without wanting something in return. Days passed in a similar rhythm. Early mornings, hard work, shared meals where Noah never pressed her to talk, but seemed content with her presence. Each day Eva told herself she would leave soon. Each night she found another reason to stay one more day. Noah, she learned, was a man of few words but deliberate actions. He never entered the bunkhouse, respecting her privacy. He left fresh coffee outside her door each morning. When he noticed her worn shoes, a pair of work boots appeared. Left by the last farmhand, he claimed, though they looked barely used. A week into her stay, Eva was in the barn, repairing a section of fencing Noah had shown her how to fix. Rain pattered on the roof, a soothing sound that almost drowned out the approaching footsteps. "You're good at that," Noah said, watching as she secured the last piece. Eva shrugged. "It's not complicated." "Didn't say it was complicated, said you were good at it." He leaned against a post. "Where'd you learn?" The question was casual, but Eva tensed. "Around." Noah nodded, accepting her vague answer. "Got something for you." He held out a small paper bag. Hesitantly, Eva took it. Inside was a phone charger. "Noticed yours was dead," Noah explained. "Figured you might need it." Eva stared at the charger, a lump forming in her throat. It was such a simple thing, but the thoughtfulness behind it threatened to crack the walls she'd built around herself. "I can't pay you back right now," she said. "Wasn't asking you to." Noah turned to leave, then paused. "Eva?" "Yes?" "You're doing good work here, just so you know." That night, Eva plugged in her phone for the first time in weeks. As it powered on, notifications flooded the screen. Missed calls and messages, mostly from numbers she didn't recognize, but one name stood out. Dad. Her hands shook as she deleted the notifications without reading them. She wasn't ready. Maybe she would never be ready. Instead, she opened the photo app and scrolled to the last picture of Maria. Her sister's smile, frozen in time, both comforted and accused her. "I'm sorry," Eva whispered, touching the screen gently. "I'm so sorry I couldn't save you." The next morning, Noah was unusually quiet during breakfast. Eva noticed him checking his watch several times. "Expecting someone?" she asked. "Sort of." He hesitated, then added, "Got a meeting with some people from AgriCorp, big agricultural company." Eva nodded, waiting for him to continue. "They want to buy the farm," Noah said finally. "Been after me for months." Something cold settled in Eva's stomach. "Are you selling?" Noah's expression was unreadable. "Been thinking about it. Farm's not what it used to be, getting harder to compete with the big operations." "Oh," Eva looked down at her plate. "When would you, if you decided to sell?" "Nothing's decided," Noah said quickly. "Just a meeting." But Eva recognized the familiar sensation creeping up her spine, the warning that it was time to move on again. Nothing lasted. No place was ever really safe for long. Later that morning, a sleek black car pulled into the driveway. Two men in suits stepped out, looking out of place against the rural backdrop. Noah met them at the front porch, shaking hands. Formally, Eva kept her distance working in the barn, but she could see them through the open door, gesturing toward the fields, pointing at the house. One man kept checking his expensive watch, clearly impatient. The other had a folder tucked under his arm, probably full of papers, offers, contracts, promises. When they finally left, Noah walked slowly back to the barn. His expression was troubled. "Big offer?" Eva asked, trying to sound casual. Noah leaned against the tractor. "Biggest one yet. Sounds like a good thing." "Maybe." He ran a hand through his hair. "Farm's been in my family for 3 generations. My grandfather built that house. My father planted those trees. Eva nodded, understanding more than she wanted to about the weight of family legacy. But it's just me now, Noah continued. No one to leave it to. And farming's getting harder every year. What would you do if you sold? Noah shrugged. Travel, maybe. See something besides these fields for once. He looked at her. What about you, Eva? What are you running from? The direct question caught her off guard. What makes you think I'm running? The way you showed up. The way you're always watching the road. The way you never talk about before. Eva turned away, her heart pounding. I should finish this, Eva. Noah's voice was gentle. Whatever it is, you're safe here. The words pierced through her defenses. Safe. When was the last time she had felt safe? I can't talk about it, she whispered. Okay. Noah didn't push further. When you're ready, I'm here. That evening, Eva sat on the porch of the bunkhouse, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Noah approached with 2 mugs of tea, offering one to her. Mind if I join you? Eva moved over, making space on the small bench. They sat in silence, sipping their tea as darkness slowly claimed the land. It's peaceful here, Eva said finally. Noah nodded. That's why I've stayed so long, I guess, even when it would have been easier to leave. Sometimes leaving is the only option, Eva replied softly. Is that what happened with you? Eva stared into her mug. My sister died 2 years ago. Noah was quiet, waiting. There was a fire, Eva continued, the words coming out strained. At our apartment, I wasn't home. I was supposed to be, but I wasn't. Eva, she called me when it started. I was only 10 minutes away, but by the time I got there, her voice broke. The firefighters wouldn't let me in. They said it was too late. Noah's hand found hers in the darkness, a warm anchor pulling her back from the memories. My father blamed me, Eva whispered. Said if I'd been home like I was supposed to be, I could have saved her. That's not fair, Noah said quietly. Maybe he's right. Eva pulled her hand away. I've been running ever since, town to town, never staying long enough to face it. Noah was quiet for a long moment. Staying in one place doesn't mean you have to face everything at once, Eva. Sometimes it just means giving yourself time to heal. The night air wrapped around them, cool and soft. In the distance, an owl called out, answered by another. I should probably go soon, Eva said, but the words lacked conviction. Or you could stay, Noah replied. At least until harvest is done. I could use the help. It was an excuse, and they both knew it. But it was also an offer of something Eva hadn't allowed herself in a long time, a chance to stop running, if only for a little while. I'll think about it, she said. As they sat in the growing darkness, something shifted between them, a small opening in the walls they'd both built around their hearts. Not enough to let everything in, but enough to let a little light through, and, for the first time in 2 years, Eva felt the ground beneath her feet might be solid enough to stand on. 2 weeks passed, and Eva found herself settling into a routine at Riverbend Farm. Each morning began with coffee on the farmhouse porch, watching the sunrise with Noah before they started their work. The harvest season was approaching quickly, and there was always something that needed doing. We'll need to hire more hands soon, Noah said one morning as they checked the corn. Crop looks good this year. Eva ran her fingers over the silk of a corn ear. How many people usually help? 5 or 6, mostly folks from town who've worked harvest before. Noah glanced at her. You'll be in charge of the east field. Think you can handle that? The trust in his voice made Eva stand a little straighter. Yes, I can handle it. Noah smiled, a rare sight that Eva had come to treasure. Never doubted it. As they walked back toward the barn, Noah's phone rang. His expression darkened when he checked the screen. AgriCorp again, Eva asked. Noah nodded. 3rd call this week. He silenced the phone and put it back in his pocket. They're persistent, I'll give them that. You haven't given them an answer yet? No. He looked across the fields, his gaze distant. Still thinking, that afternoon, while Noah drove into town for supplies, Eva cleaned out one of the storage bins. The physical work helped quiet her mind, kept the memories at bay. Here on the farm, she could almost pretend she was someone else, someone without a past full of pain, someone who deserved peace. When she finished, she walked to the farmhouse to get some water. Daisy greeted her at the door, tail wagging. "Hey, girl," Eva said, patting the golden retriever's head. "Just getting some water." In the kitchen, Eva noticed a stack of mail on the counter. On top was an envelope from AgriCorp, marked Final Offer in bold red letters. She didn't mean to look, but the amount on the corner of the document inside made her gasp. $5 million. It was more money than Eva could even imagine. With that kind of money, Noah could go anywhere, do anything. Why was he hesitating? The sound of a car pulling up made her jump. She quickly stepped away from the mail, feeling guilty even though she hadn't actually opened the envelope. Noah entered, carrying grocery bags. "Thought you might like something besides sandwiches for lunch," he said, unpacking bread, cheese, and fresh fruit. "Noah," Eva said before she could stop herself, "that offer from AgriCorp." His hands stilled. "You saw the letter." "Just the amount. I wasn't snooping, I swear." Noah sighed, setting down a container of strawberries. "It's okay. It's a lot of money." "Yes, it is." Eva leaned against the counter. "So why haven't you taken it?" Noah was quiet for a long moment. "Money's not everything, Eva." "But the farm, you said yourself it's getting harder to run it alone." "I did say that." He started putting the groceries away, his movements deliberate. "But this land, it's more than dirt and crops to me. It's memories. It's my history." Eva understood that more than he knew. Her own history haunted her constantly. "Sometimes new memories are better than old ones." Noah looked at her, his eyes searching her face. "Is that why you keep running? Looking for better memories?" The question hit too close to home. Eva turned away. "We should eat. I need to finish the storage bins this afternoon." Noah didn't press, but later that day, Eva found him standing by the old oak tree at the edge of the property, staring at the horizon. She approached cautiously, not wanting to intrude on his thoughts. "My father proposed to my mother under this tree," Noah said without turning. "He carved their initials in the trunk when they got engaged." Eva looked at the tree and saw the carving NC+LM faded, but still visible in the bark. "They were happy here," Noah continued. "Even when things were hard, even when crops failed or prices dropped, they found joy in this land." "That's a beautiful memory," Eva said softly. Noah turned to face her. "What about you? Do you have beautiful memories of your sister?" Eva felt her chest tighten. "Maria she was everything I wasn't, bright, outgoing, everyone loved her, including you, especially me." Eva swallowed hard. "She was the one who held our family together after our mom left. She made sure I did my homework, that I ate breakfast before school. She was only 2 years older, but sometimes she felt more like a mother than a sister." Noah listened without interrupting, his steady presence encouraging her to continue. "The night of the fire," Eva said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I was supposed to be home. We were going to have dinner together. But I met this guy, someone I thought I liked, and I went to a party instead. I told her I'd be home by 9. "But you weren't," Noah guessed gently. Eva shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "The fire started in the apartment below ours. Electrical problem, they said. Maria called me at 10:30 screaming that she couldn't get out. The smoke was everywhere. I told her to hang on, that I was coming." A sob escaped her throat. "I was only 10 minutes away, 10 minutes. But by the time I got there," Noah reached for her hand, his grip warm and solid. "My father showed up while they were still putting out the fire. He looked at me and said, 'You did this, you killed her.' And then he just walked away." Eva wiped at her tears. "I haven't seen him since that night." "It wasn't your fault, Eva," Noah said, his voice firm. "The fire wasn't your fault. If I'd been home, you might both have died." Noah squeezed her hand. "You can't know what would have happened, but I do know that carrying blame that isn't yours doesn't honor your sister's memory." They stood together under the oak tree as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the land. Eva's tears gradually subsided, leaving her feeling oddly lighter, as if sharing even a piece of her burden had somehow made it easier to bear. "Thank you," she said finally, "for listening." Noah nodded. "That's what friends do. friends. The word felt both comforting and somehow insufficient for what was growing between them. But Ava wasn't ready to examine that feeling too closely. For now, friendship was enough, more than she'd allowed herself in a long time. The next day, 3 men arrived from town to help prepare for the harvest. Ava watched as Noah greeted them with handshakes and easy conversation. These were people. He'd known for years people who belonged in his world. "Ava," Noah called, waving her over. "Come meet the crew." She approached hesitantly, conscious of her outsider status. But the men, Bill, Mike, and Tom, welcomed her with friendly nods. "Noah says you'll be running the East Field," Bill said, his weathered face creasing in a smile. "That's a big responsibility for a newcomer." "I can handle it," Ava replied, more defensively than she'd intended. Bill laughed. "Oh, I don't doubt it. Noah's a good judge of character. If he says you can do it, then you can." The easy acceptance surprised Ava. These men didn't question her presence or her abilities. They simply trusted Noah's judgment. As the day progressed, Ava found herself included in their easy banter and work rhythm. For the first time in years, she felt like part of something, like she belonged somewhere. That evening, after the men had gone home, Noah found Ava sitting on the porch of the bunkhouse, a small smile on her face. "Good day?" he asked, joining her. "Yeah." She looked up at him. "Your friends are nice. They liked you too." Noah stretched his long legs out in front of him. "Bill said you know more about farming than half the folks he's worked with." Ava felt a warmth spread through her chest at the compliment. "I like the work. It makes sense to me. Some people are just born with dirt in their veins," Noah said with a smile. "My father used to say that." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching fireflies begin to blink in the gathering darkness. "Noah," Ava said finally. "About the AgriCorp offer." He sighed. "They want an answer by the end of the month." "What are you going to tell them?" Noah turned to look at her, his expression serious. "What do you think I should do?" The question caught Ava off guard. "Me? Why would my opinion matter?" "Because I value it," he said simply. "Because you see things clearly." Ava looked out at the farm, the field stretching toward the horizon, the barn silhouetted against the twilight sky, the farmhouse with its warm, glowing windows. It was beautiful in a way she'd never appreciated before coming here. "This place is special," she said slowly. "I can see why you love it. But—" She hesitated, not wanting to push him toward a decision he might regret. "But," Noah prompted, "but sometimes holding on to something just because it's always been there isn't enough. Reason to stay." The words felt like a betrayal, but Ava pressed on. $5 million could give you a new start, Noah. A life without all this struggle." Noah was quiet for so long that Ava feared she'd overstepped. Then he said, "What about you? What would you do with that kind of money?" Ava laughed softly. "Me? I'd probably just keep running. Find somewhere far away where no one knows me." "Is that what you really want, to keep running forever?" The question pierced her defenses. No, it wasn't what she wanted, but she didn't know how to stop, how to face the past that haunted her. "I don't know what I want anymore," she admitted. Noah's hand found hers in the darkness. "Maybe that's something we both need to figure out." The harvest began the following week. Ava rose before dawn each day, working alongside Noah and the crew, directing operations in the East Field as promised. The work was exhausting but satisfying, watching the fruits of their labor being gathered, knowing they were part of something essential. One evening, as the sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and pink, Noah found Ava checking the equipment for the next day. "You don't have to do that now," he said. "It's been a long day." Ava wiped sweat from her forehead. "I don't mind, want to make sure everything's ready for tomorrow." Noah smiled. "You've been amazing these past weeks, you know that." The compliment made her cheeks warm. "Just doing my job." "It's more than that." He leaned against the tractor. "You've become part of this place, Ava, part of—" He didn't finish the sentence, but his eyes said what his words didn't. "Part of me." Eva's heart raced. She wasn't ready for this, for the way he looked at her, for the feelings growing inside her. Attachment meant pain. It always had. "Noah," she started, but was interrupted by the sound of a car coming up the driveway. They both turned to see a sleek black sedan pulling up to the house. Two men in suits stepped out, the AgriCorp representatives. They weren't supposed to come until next week, Noah muttered, straightening. Wait here, I'll handle this. Ava watched as Noah approached the men, his posture stiff. The conversation appeared tense, with one of the men gesturing emphatically, while the other kept checking his watch. Finally, Noah took an envelope from them, and the men returned to their car. As they drove away, Noah stood motionless in the driveway, staring. At whatever was in his hands, Eva approached cautiously. Everything okay? Noah handed her the envelope. Inside was a check, the first installment of the payment for the farm, and a contract, already bearing Noah's signature. You sold the farm, Eva whispered, shock washing over her. When did you sign this? Last week. Noah wouldn't meet her eyes. They made it clear the offer wouldn't stay on the table much longer. But you didn't tell me. I needed to make the decision on my own. He finally looked at her. They're giving me until the end of harvest to vacate, about 3 weeks. Eva felt as if the ground beneath her feet had suddenly shifted. 3 weeks. And then what? Where would she go? Where would Noah go? What happens now? She asked, her voice small. Noah ran a hand through his hair. I don't know exactly. I thought maybe I'd travel for a while, see the world beyond Riverbend. Oh, Eva tried to sound happy for him. That sounds nice. An awkward silence fell between them, filled with unspoken questions and fears. I should go check on those crates, Eva said finally, needing to escape the weight of the moment. Eva, wait. Noah caught her arm gently. This doesn't change anything between us, but it changed everything, and they both knew it. The farm had been their foundation, the solid ground where they'd found each other. Without it, what would hold them together? It's okay, Eva said, forcing a smile. You made the right choice. This is a chance for you to start fresh. What about you? Noah asked. Where will you go after harvest? The familiar anxiety of having no destination, no plan, rose in Eva's chest. I'll figure something out. I always do. That night, alone in the bunkhouse, Eva pulled out her phone. The battery was fully charged now, thanks to Noah's charger. She stared at the screen, at the notifications she'd been ignoring for weeks. With trembling fingers, she opened the messages from her father. Most were short, demanding to know where she was, but the most recent one, sent just 3 days ago, was different. Eva, we need to talk. It's important. I found something in Maria's things. Please call me. Eva's heart pounded. What could he possibly have found? And why reach out now after 2 years of blame and silence? She set the phone down without responding. Whatever her father wanted, it was too late. Too much damage had been done. She needed to focus on her next move, on where to go when the harvest ended and Noah sold the farm. But as she lay in bed that night, Eva couldn't shake the feeling that her carefully constructed escape plan was unraveling. For the first time in 2 years, she'd allowed herself to care about a place, about a person, and now she would lose both. The next morning, Eva was unusually quiet as she and Noah prepared for the day's work. The crew arrived, and everyone took their positions in the fields, the rhythm of harvest continuing despite the uncertainty hanging in the air. Mid-morning, Eva was directing the loading of corn into the truck when she noticed a car she didn't recognize pulling into the farm entrance. It wasn't the sleek sedan of the AgriCorp men, but an older model, dusty from travel. Her blood ran cold as the driver stepped out. Her father. Robert Ramirez looked older than Eva remembered, his hair grayer, his face more lined. He scanned the farm until his eyes found her, standing frozen beside the truck. Noah approached him first. Can I help you? I'm looking for my daughter, Robert said, his voice carrying across the yard. Eva Ramirez. Noah turned to Eva, concern etched on his face. She gave a small nod and he stepped aside. Robert walked toward her slowly as if afraid she might bolt. Eva, how did you find me? Her voice was barely audible. Your phone. Robert stopped a few feet away. Once you charged it, I could track your location. Eva felt a surge of anger. You've been tracking me all this time? Only when your phone was on, which wasn't often. He looked tired, worn down. We need to talk, Eva. I have nothing to say. To you. She turned to walk away. It's about Maria, Robert called after her. About the fire. Eva stopped. What about it? Robert glanced around at the workers who had paused to watch the drama unfolding. Not here. Is there somewhere we can talk privately? Noah stepped forward. You can use the house. Eva shot him a betrayed look, but Noah's expression was steady. I'll be right outside if you need me, he said quietly. Inside the farmhouse, Eva stood with her arms crossed, keeping the kitchen table between herself and her father. Robert pulled a small notebook from his pocket and placed it on the table. This was your sister's journal, he said. I found it last month when I was finally cleaning out her things. Eva stared at the notebook but didn't touch it. Why are you showing me this now? Because I was wrong, Eva. Robert's voice broke. About that night, about what happened. Eva felt her defenses rising. What are you talking about? Robert pushed the journal toward her. Maria wrote about it, about why you weren't home that night. With shaking hands, Eva opened the notebook. The handwriting was unmistakably her sister's, looping and elegant. She flipped to the last entry, dated the day of the fire. Convinced Eva to go to Jason's party tonight, the entry began. She didn't want to, but I told her she needs to get out more, have a life. I practically pushed her out the door, told her not to worry about dinner, that I'd take care of it. She deserves some fun after everything she's done for me. Eva looked up, tears blurring her vision. She pushed me to go out that night. She wanted me to have fun. Robert nodded, his own eyes wet. All this time, I blamed you for not being there. But it was Maria who wanted you to go. She was trying to help you have a normal life. The truth hit Eva like a physical blow. So it wasn't my fault. No, Eva. Robert reached across the table, hesitantly touching her hand. It wasn't your fault. The fire was an accident, and I was wrong to blame you. So terribly wrong. Eva pulled her hand away, emotions swirling inside her, relief, anger, grief. 2 years, she whispered. I've been running for 2 years, thinking I killed my sister. I know. Robert's voice was heavy with regret. I can't take back what I said that night. I was crazy with grief. But I've been looking for you ever since I found the journal, to tell you the truth, to ask for your forgiveness. Eva stared at her father, at the man whose words had sent her running from town to town, unable to face her guilt. I don't know if I can forgive you. I understand. Robert stood slowly. I'll leave my number, if you ever want to talk, or if you need anything. He placed a business card on the table beside the journal. I'm staying at the motel in town for a few days, if you change your mind. After he left, Eva sat alone in Noah's kitchen, Maria's journal clutched in her hands. The truth she'd been running from for 2 years wasn't a truth at all. It was a mistake, a misunderstanding born of grief. Noah found her there an hour later, tears streaming down her face. Eva? He knelt beside her chair. What happened? What did he want? Through her tears, Eva told him about the journal, about Maria encouraging her to go to the party, about her father's mistaken blame. All this time, she said, her voice breaking, I've been carrying this guilt, running from a fault that wasn't mine. Noah took her hands in his. What will you do now? Eva looked at him, really looked at him. This man who had taken her in without questions, who had given her space to heal, who had become more important to her than she wanted to admit. I don't know, she answered honestly, but I think maybe I'm tired of running. Noah's eyes softened. Then stay. The farm, I haven't cashed their check yet, he said quietly. I've been thinking about the offer, about what really matters. Eva felt a flutter of hope in her chest. What are you saying? Noah's gaze was steady. I'm saying maybe we both have decisions to make. About the past. About the future. Outside, the harvest continued, the rhythmic sound of work drifting through the open window. The future stretched before them, uncertain but suddenly full of possibilities. For the first time in 2 years, Eva allowed herself to imagine staying in one place, with one person, putting down roots in soil that felt finally soft enough to grow in. The following morning, Eva woke to the sound of rain pattering against the bunkhouse roof. She lay still for a moment, Maria's journal clutched to her chest. She had read and reread the entries all night, absorbing her sister's words, finding pieces of herself in the pages. The truth was still settling in her heart. She wasn't responsible for Maria's death. The guilt she'd carried for 2 years had been based on a misunderstanding, on words spoken in grief. Eva got dressed slowly, watching the rain through the small window. The farm looked different in the grey morning light, softer somehow, as if the sharp edges of reality had been smoothed away. When she reached the farmhouse, she found Noah at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee in front of him and a pile of papers spread out across the surface. "Morning," he said, glancing up. His eyes were tired, as if he too had spent the night thinking. "Made fresh coffee." "Thanks." Eva poured herself a cup and sat across from him. "What's all this?" Noah pushed a hand through his hair. "Farm paperwork. Deed, contracts, tax records." He hesitated, then added, "The AgriCorp agreement." Eva's heart skipped. "You still haven't cashed their check?" "No." Noah's expression was troubled. "I keep thinking about what you said, about holding on to things just because they've always been there." "I shouldn't have said that," Eva admitted. "It's not my place to tell you what to do with your family's land." "You were being honest." Noah gathered the papers into a pile. "And maybe you were right. Maybe I've been holding on to this place for the wrong reasons." Outside, the rain fell, harder, drumming against the roof. It would be a day of indoor work, equipment maintenance, inventory, preparation for when the weather cleared. "What about your father?" Noah asked after a moment. "Are you going to talk to him again?" Eva wrapped her hands around her mug, drawing comfort from its warmth. "I don't know what he did, blaming me for Maria's death. It changed everything. I'm not sure I can forgive that." "Forgiveness isn't always about the other person," Noah said quietly. "Sometimes it's about freeing yourself." Eva looked at him, struck by the wisdom in his words. "When did you get so smart about emotional stuff?" A small smile lifted the corner of Noah's mouth. "Had a lot of time to think out here alone, and my mother was big on forgiveness, said holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." Eva laughed softly. "She sounds like she was pretty wise." She was. Noah's expression grew distant. "She would have liked you." The simple statement touched Eva deeply. To be connected, even hypothetically, to Noah's family, to his past. It felt significant in ways she wasn't ready to examine. The day passed quietly, with Eva and Noah working side by side in the barn. The harvest crew had the day off due to the rain, so it was just the two of them, organizing supplies and repairing equipment in comfortable silence. By late afternoon, the rain had slowed to a gentle drizzle. Eva stood in the barn doorway watching. Water dripped from the eaves. "I've been thinking," she said without turning around. Noah looked up from the tractor part he was cleaning. About staying." The words came out easier than she expected. "Not running anymore." Noah set the part down and wiped his hands on a rag. "Here at Riverbend?" Eva nodded slowly. "If that's still possible." She turned to face him. "You said you haven't cashed their check yet." "I haven't." Noah approached, stopping a few feet away. "But Eva, I don't want you to stay just because of the farm." "It's not just the farm." Eva took a deep breath. "It's you, the way I feel when I'm with you. Like maybe I deserve to be happy." Again, Noah's expression softened. "You do deserve that, Eva, more than anyone I know." The space between them seemed to shrink, charged with unspoken feelings. Eva could feel her heart pounding as Noah stepped closer. "If I don't sell," he said, his voice low, "we'd have to work harder than ever to make this place profitable. It wouldn't be easy." "Nothing worth having ever is," Eva replied. Noah's hand reached up to brush a strand of hair from her face. "Are you sure this is what you want? No more running?" "I'm terrified," Eva admitted. "But yes, I want to stay. With you." The kiss, when it came, was gentle, a question more than a demand. Eva answered by leaning into him, her hands finding his shoulders, steadying herself against the rush of emotion. When they pulled apart, Noah rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that since the day you showed up on my porch." Eva smiled. "Why didn't you?" "You weren't ready." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "And maybe I wasn't either." The sound of a car pulling into the driveway broke the moment. They stepped apart, looking toward the entrance. "AgriCorp again?" Eva asked, frowning. Noah shook his head. "They wouldn't come in this weather." He walked to the barn door and looked out. "It's your father." Eva felt her body tense. "What does he want now?" Only one way to find out. They watched as Robert Ramirez got out of his car, hunching against the rain. He carried a folder under his coat, protecting it from the weather. "Eva," he called, spotting her in the barn doorway. "Can we talk, please? It's important." Eva glanced at Noah, who squeezed her hand reassuringly. "I'll be right here." Taking a deep breath, Eva stepped forward to meet her father. "What do you want?" Robert looked from Eva to Noah, then back again. "Is there somewhere we can talk privately?" "Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of Noah," Eva said firmly. Robert hesitated, then nodded. "All right. It's about the fire investigation. There's something you need to know." He handed Eva the folder. Inside were official-looking documents, reports from fire investigators, police statements, insurance forms. "I don't understand," Eva said, scanning the papers. "What is all this?" "The official investigation concluded the fire was caused by faulty wiring in the apartment below ours," Robert explained. "But I never believed it. Our neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, had been renovating without permits. I suspected he'd done something. That caused the fire." Eva looked up sharply. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I was right." Robert pointed to one of the documents. The insurance company conducted their own investigation. They found evidence that Jenkins had installed illegal electrical work that overloaded the system. He's being charged with negligent homicide. Eva stared at the document, the words blurring through her tears. "So it really wasn't my fault?" "Not in any way." "No, Eva." Robert's voice broke. "It wasn't your fault. And I've spent 2 years blaming you instead of finding the truth. I can never make that right. But I thought you deserved to know." Noah stepped forward, placing a supportive hand on Eva's back. "Thank you for bringing this to her." Robert nodded, his eyes lingering on Noah's hand, on the protective way he stood beside Eva. "There's something else." He pulled an envelope from his pocket. "This is for you, Eva. It's the insurance settlement for Maria's death and our losses in the fire." Eva took the envelope with trembling hands. "I don't want money for Maria's death." "I know." Robert looked down. "But it's rightfully yours. Half of it, anyway. You lost everything in that fire, too." Eva opened the envelope and gasped. The check inside was for $250,000. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Jenkins had excellent insurance," Robert said with a bitter laugh. "And the insurance company wants to settle quickly to avoid bad publicity. Your half is there. Do whatever you want with it." Eva stared at the check, then at her father. "I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything." Robert turned to leave, then paused. "Eva, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but if you ever want to talk about Maria, about anything, I'm still your father. I still love you." After Robert left, Eva stood motionless in the barn doorway, the check and documents clutched in her hands. The rain had stopped, and weak sunlight was breaking through the clouds. "Eva?" Noah's voice was gentle. "Are you okay?" She looked up at him, her eyes wide. "I don't know. This is a lot." Noah led her to a hay bale where they could sit. "You don't have to decide anything right now. About your father, about the money, just breathe." Eva leaned against him, drawing strength from his solid presence. $250,000, Noah. I've never had more than a few hundred. To my name. "It's life-changing money," Noah agreed. "Life-changing," Eva repeated softly. Then her eyes widened as a thought struck her. "Noah, the farm, the AgriCorp contract, you haven't signed it yet, have you?" "No, I've signed it, but I haven't returned it or cashed their check." Noah said, looking confused. Why? Eva held up. The insurance check. What if we use this to save the farm? To modernize it, make it profitable again? Noah stared at her. Eva, that's your money, your future. I can't let you invest it in my failing farm. Our farm, Eva corrected him. If you want it to be. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Noah took her hands in his. Are you sure about this? He asked. Really sure? Because once we do this, there's no going back. Eva thought about the past 2 years, about all the running, all the towns and jobs that had blurred together. Then she thought about Riverbend Farm, about the peace she'd found here, about Noah. I'm sure, she said. I want to stop running. I want to build something real with you. Noah's kiss was different this time, certain, solid, a promise rather than a question. When they pulled apart, his eyes were bright with emotion. I need to call AgriCorp, he said. Tell them the deal is off. Eva nodded, a smile spreading across her face. And I need to call my father, to thank him. Maybe to start talking again. The next day dawned clear and bright. The harvest crew returned, and work resumed with renewed energy. Noah had called AgriCorp the previous evening, informing them he was withdrawing from the sale. They weren't happy, but the contract had a clause allowing him to back out before the check was cashed. Eva found Noah in the east field, directing the crew as they brought in the last of the corn. How's it going? She asked, handing him a bottle of water. Good. Great, actually. Noah's smile was brighter than she'd ever seen it. We'll finish the east field today, ahead of schedule. Eva looked out over the land. Their land now, in a way she still couldn't quite believe. I talked to my father this morning. Noah's expression grew serious. How did that go? Better than I expected. Eva tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. We're having dinner tonight, in town. He wants to talk about Maria, about family. That's good, Eva. Noah squeezed her hand. Are you nervous? Terrified, she admitted. But also ready, I think, to face the past instead of running from it. Noah nodded in understanding. Want me to come with you? The offer touched her deeply. No, this is something I need to do alone, but thank you for offering. As they stood together in the field, a truck pulled up to the farmhouse. It wasn't a vehicle Eva recognized. Who's that? She asked. Noah frowned. I don't know. Let's find out. They walked back to the house together, reaching the driveway as a man in an expensive suit stepped out of the truck. He was younger than the AgriCorp representatives, with sharp features and a confident smile. Mr. Callahan? He called. Darren Matthews, from Matthews Development. Got a minute to talk? Noah and Eva exchanged a look. What's this about? Noah asked. Matthews gestured toward the farm. Heard AgriCorp's deal fell through. Thought you might be interested in another offer. The farm's not for sale, Eva said firmly. Matthews raised an eyebrow, looking her up and down. And you are? Eva Ramirez. She lifted her chin. Co-owner. Noah's surprise at her declaration was momentary, quickly replaced by a smile of agreement. That's right. We're not selling. To anyone. Matthews didn't look convinced. Look, I understand you're attached to the place, but the truth is, small farms like this are dying. The economics just don't work anymore. We're making them work, Noah replied. Thanks for your interest, but we're not interested. At least hear my offer, Matthews persisted. AgriCorp was offering $5 million. I'm prepared to go to $6 million. Eva felt Noah tense beside her. $6 million was a staggering amount, more than they'd ever make farming, even with her insurance money to invest in improvements. Mr. Matthews, Noah said, his voice level, money isn't everything. This land has been in my family for generations. Now it's going to be part of a new family's future. It's not for sale, not at any price. Matthews shrugged, clearly not understanding their attachment to the land. If you change your mind, here's my card. Offer stands for 30 days. After he drove away, Eva turned to Noah. $6 million, that's a lot to turn down. Noah looked out over the fields, at the farmhands working in the distance, at Daisy running along the edge of the property. Do you think I made a mistake? Eva shook her head. No, you made the right choice for both of us. That evening, Eva dressed carefully for dinner with her father. She wore a simple dress she'd bought in town the week before, her first new clothing in months. Noah drove her to the restaurant, a small Italian place on Main Street. "Call me when you're done," he said. "I'll come pick you up." "I will." Eva leaned across the seat to kiss him. "Wish me luck." "You don't need luck," Noah assured her. "Just be honest." "Listen, that's all anyone can do." Robert was already seated when Eva arrived. He stood as she approached, his expression a mixture of hope and anxiety. "You look beautiful," he said. "Like your mother." Eva sat down, smoothing her dress nervously. "Thank you for meeting me." "Thank you for calling." Robert's smile was tentative. "I didn't expect to hear from you so soon." They ordered dinner, making awkward small talk about the restaurant, the weather, the town. It wasn't until their meals arrived that Eva found the courage to address what really mattered. "I've been reading Maria's journal," she said. "It helps me feel close to her again." Robert nodded. "I should have given it to you sooner. I just couldn't bear to go through her things for so long." "I understand." Eva took a deep breath. "Dad, what happened that night? The things you said to me, they changed everything. I've spent 2 years believing I was responsible for her death." "I know." Robert's voice was heavy with regret. "And I can never take that back. I was broken. Lashing out, but that's no excuse." "No, it's not," Eva agreed. "But I think I understand it better now. Grief makes people do terrible things sometimes." Robert looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. "Does that mean you might be able to forgive me someday?" Eva considered the question carefully. "I'm working on it. It won't happen overnight. But I want to try, for Maria's sake, and for mine." Relief washed over Robert's face. "That's more than I deserve, thank you, Eva." As they continued their meal, Eva found herself sharing stories about the farm, about Noah, about the future they were planning together. "You love him," Robert observed. The statement caught Eva by surprise. Yes, I think I do. He seems like a good man." "He is," Eva smiled. "The best I've ever known." Robert hesitated, then said, "I'd like to meet him properly. Get to know the man my daughter loves." "I'd like that too," Eva replied, realizing she meant it. When dinner ended, they stood somewhat awkwardly on the sidewalk outside the restaurant. "So," Robert said, "will I see you again?" Eva nodded. "Yes, maybe you could come to the farm this weekend, see what we're doing there." "I'd like that very much." Robert hesitated, then opened his arms slightly. "Can I?" Eva stepped forward into her father's embrace. It was stiff at first, unfamiliar after so long apart, but then something shifted and she found herself clinging to him, tears streaming down her face. "I've missed you, Dad," she whispered. "I've missed you too, sweetheart." Robert's voice was thick with emotion. "So much." When Noah arrived to pick her up, he found Eva and Robert still talking on the sidewalk. Eva waved him over. "Noah, I'd like you to meet my father. Properly this time." She took Noah's hand. "Dad, this is Noah Callahan." The two men shook hands, sizing each other up. "Thank you for taking care of my daughter," Robert said. "She takes care of herself," Noah replied. "And me too, if I'm being honest." Eva felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. It was true. They took care of each other. They were building something together, something real and lasting. Back at the farm, Noah and Eva walked hand in hand to the porch swing. The night was clear, stars scattered across the sky like diamonds on black velvet. "How was it?" Noah asked, as they sat down. "With your father?" "Good," Eva said, surprising herself with how true it felt. "We have a long way to go, but it's a start." Noah put his arm around her, drawing her close against the evening chill. "I'm proud of you, you know, facing your past like that. It takes courage." Eva rested her head on his shoulder. "I invited him to the farm this weekend to see what we're doing here. I hope that's okay." "Of course it is." Noah pressed a kiss to her temple. "This is your home now too. Your family is welcome here." Home. The word resonated in Eva's heart. After 2 years of running, of nowhere feeling safe or permanent, she had found a home. Not just in a place, but in a person. "Noah," she said softly, "when you introduced me to Matthews as co-owner, did you mean that?" Noah shifted to look at her. "I did, if that's what you want." It is. More than anything. His smile was like sunrise breaking over the horizon. Then we'll make it official. Partners in every way. As they sat together on the porch swing, the future stretched before them, uncertain in many ways but rich with possibility. There would be challenges, Ava knew. Making the farm profitable again wouldn't be easy. Rebuilding her relationship with her father would take time. Learning to trust in happiness, to believe she deserved it, that might be the hardest task of all. But for the first time in years, Ava wasn't running away from something. She was running towards something, a future, a home, a love that felt as solid and real as the land beneath her feet. The soil at Riverbend Farm was soft enough for new beginnings, and Ava was finally ready to put down roots. 3 months passed at Riverbend Farm. Winter arrived, dusting the fields with frost and painting the mornings in shades of silver and white. Inside the farmhouse, Eva and Noah sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers, blueprints, business plans, loan applications. "The barn renovation is going to cost more than we thought," Eva said, making notes on their budget. "The contractor found more structural damage yesterday." Noah sighed, running a hand through his hair. "We could scale back the plans for the Eastfield irrigation. Do that next year instead." Eva shook her head. "No, we need that irrigation system if we're going to expand the vegetable crops in spring. That's where our best profit margin is." They had been working non-stop since the harvest ended, pouring Eva's insurance money and their combined savings into modernizing the farm. The plan was ambitious: upgrade the equipment, improve irrigation, convert part of the property to organic, produce for local restaurants, and renovate the old barn into a farm store where they could sell directly to customers. "We'll make it work," Noah said, reaching across the table to take her hand. "We always do." Eva smiled, still marveling at how easily they had fallen into being partners. Noah had insisted they split ownership of the farm equally, and they had signed the papers making it official the previous month. "My father called this morning," Eva said. "He wants to come for dinner on Sunday." Noah nodded. "Good. I've been wanting to talk to him about that farmer's market connection he mentioned." Robert Ramirez had become a regular visitor to Riverbend Farm over the past months. His relationship with Ava was still healing. There were awkward moments, painful memories that sometimes surfaced, but they were finding their way back to each other, one conversation at a time. "He's bringing his friend Carol again," Eva added with a small smile. Robert had recently started dating a woman he'd met at his grief support group. "I think it's getting serious." "About time," Noah said. "He deserves some happiness too." Eva stood and walked to the window, looking out at the property. Snow was beginning to fall, fat flakes drifting lazily from a pearl-grey sky. "Remember, when you told me I deserved to be happy? Back when I first got here?" Noah came to stand behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "I remember. You looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language." Eva leaned back against him. "I couldn't imagine it then. Being happy, staying in one place, having a home. And now?" Noah's voice was soft in her ear. "Now I can't imagine being anywhere else." She turned in his arms to face him. "Or with anyone else." The kiss they shared was warm and familiar, yet still held the power to make Eva's heart race. They had moved her things from the bunkhouse into the farmhouse 2 months ago, and sharing a life and a bed with Noah had healed parts of Eva she hadn't even realized were broken. The ringing of Noah's phone interrupted the moment. He pulled away reluctantly to answer it. "Callahan," he said. Then his expression darkened. "Mr. Matthews, I thought I made myself clear last time." Eva watched as Noah listened, his jaw tightening. "No, I don't need time to think about it. The answer is still no." He paused, then added, "Please don't call again," before hanging up. "Matthews' development again?" Eva asked. Noah nodded, his expression troubled. "They've bought the Peterson place down the road. Darren says they're planning a rural luxury development, whatever that means. It means overpriced houses for city people who want to play farmer on the weekends," Eva said with a frown. "The Petersons sold? I thought they were holding out." "Apparently not," Noah sighed. "Matthew says our property is crucial to their development plan. Offered $7 million this time." Eva felt a flicker of unease. "That's a lot of money, Noah." It's not about the money. Noah's voice was firm. This land isn't for sale. Not to them, not to anyone. Eva squeezed his hand. I know. I just hope they get the message soon. The next day, Eva drove into town to meet with their accountant. The meeting went longer than expected, and it was nearly dark by the time she headed back to the farm. As she approached the turn for Riverbend, she noticed several vehicles parked along the road near their property line, trucks with the Matthews Development logo on their doors. Frowning, Eva pulled over. A group of men in work clothes were examining the fence line, taking measurements and photos. Excuse me, she called, getting out of her car. This is private property. What are you doing? A man in a hard hat approached her. Ma'am, we're just conducting a survey of the area for the new development. On our land. Eva's voice rose. You don't have permission to be here. We're not on your property, the man said, pointing to a marker. We're staying on the roadside easement, perfectly legal. Before Eva could argue further, a familiar truck pulled up. Darren Matthews stepped out, his expensive shoes inappropriate. For the muddy roadside. Ms. Ramirez, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. What a pleasant surprise. What's going on here, Matthews? Eva demanded. Why are your people measuring our property line? Just planning purposes. Matthews gestured to his crew. We're developing the Peterson farm into luxury homes. Your property would be the perfect addition. The lake on your land would be a fantastic centerpiece for our community. We've told you repeatedly, Riverbend isn't for sale. Matthews's smile faded. Ms. Ramirez, let's be practical. You and Callahan are trying to save a dying business. Small farms like yours can't compete in today's market. Watch us, Eva said, her voice icy. $7 million is more than this place will ever be worth, Matthews continued. You could start fresh somewhere else, both of you. Eva stepped closer to him. This isn't about money. This is our home. Everything's about money in the end, Matthews replied. I've done my research on you, Ms. Ramirez. You were running from town to town before you landed here. What's keeping you from running again when things get tough? The question hit Eva like a physical blow. You don't know anything about me. I know Callahan is drowning in debt, despite your investment. I know the bank is watching your loan payments closely. I know it would take just one bad season to lose everything. Matthews handed her a business card. When you're ready to be realistic, call me. Eva drove home in a state of cold fury, her hands trembling on the steering wheel. How dare Matthews investigate her past? How dare he assume she would run again? But beneath her anger lurked a sliver of doubt. What if he was right? What if they couldn't make the farm profitable again? What if all their work, all their dreams ended in failure? Noah was waiting on the porch when she pulled up, his expression concerned. You're late. I was getting worried. Eva told him about the encounter with Matthews and his crew. Noah's face darkened with anger. He has no right to harass you like that, he said, or to bring up your past. But what if he's right? Eva's voice was small. What if we're just postponing the inevitable? One bad harvest and we could lose everything. Noah took her hands. Eva, look at me. This farm has survived drought, flood, and economic downturns for 3 generations. It will survive Matthew's development too. How can you be so sure? Because we're not my parents trying to do everything the old way. We're adapting, modernizing, and we have each other. He pulled her close. I don't care if we have to work twice as hard. This is our land, our future. Eva rested her head against his chest, drawing strength from his certainty. I'm not running again, Noah, not ever. I promise. I know. He pressed a kiss to her hair. I've never doubted that. 2 days later, Eva's father came for his regular Sunday dinner visit. Carol, his new girlfriend, had brought a homemade apple pie that they enjoyed in the living room. After the meal, so, Robert said, setting down his coffee cup, tell me more about this Matthews character who's giving you trouble. Eva exchanged a look with Noah. He's persistent, and not in a good way. He had people surveying our property line, Noah added, talking about using our lake as a centerpiece for his development. Robert frowned. That's aggressive tactics. Has he approached any other farmers in the area? The Petersons sold to him, Eva said, and we've heard the Johnsons are considering an offer. He's trying to isolate us, Noah explained. Buy up all the surrounding land and pressure us to sell. Carol, a retired schoolteacher with a no-nonsense attitude, shook her head. That's how these developers work. They know most farmers are struggling. They swoop in with cash offers that seem too good to refuse. $7 million is a lot of money, Robert said carefully. Have you considered, Dad? Eva's voice was firm. We're not selling, this is our home. Robert held up his hands. I'm just making sure you've thought it through. That's a life-changing amount of money. We have thought it through, Noah assured. Him. Many times. But this land means more to us than money. Robert studied their faces, then nodded slowly. All right then, if you're sure, maybe I can help. How? Eva asked. I still have contacts in the legal world, Robert said. Let me make some calls, see what we can find out about Matthew's development. These big companies often have skeletons in their closets. Eva felt a surge of gratitude. You'd do that for us? Of course, Robert said simply. You're my daughter, and Noah is... He glanced between them. Well, he's family now too, isn't he? The words brought unexpected tears to Eva's eyes. Family. After years of feeling alone, of running from connections, she had found her way back to family, both the one she was born into and the one she had chosen. Later that night, as they prepared, for bed, Noah seemed distracted, his movements unusually hesitant. Everything okay? Eva asked, watching him from their bed. Noah sat beside her, taking her hand. I've been thinking about what your father said. About family. Eva smiled. It was nice, wasn't it? Him accepting you that way. It was. Noah took a deep breath. Eva, when I bought that engagement ring last week, I was planning some big gesture. Dinner in town, maybe, or a picnic by the lake when spring comes. Eva's heart skipped a beat. Engagement ring. Noah reached into his nightstand drawer and pulled out a small velvet box. But after today, after everything with Matthews and then... Your father. I don't want to wait anymore. He opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful diamond ring. I want us to be a family, officially. Will you marry me, Eva? Tears spilled down Eva's cheeks as she nodded. Yes. Of course, yes. As Noah slipped the ring onto her finger, Eva felt the last pieces of her heart knitting back together. This was what happiness felt like. Not the absence of problems, but the certainty that whatever came, they would face it together. 2 weeks later, Robert called with news about Matthew's development. You need to see this, he said, his voice urgent over the phone. I'm coming over. An hour later, Robert spread documents across the kitchen table, environmental reports, permit applications, geological surveys. Matthews has a history of cutting corners, he explained. His last development in Colorado resulted in multiple lawsuits for environmental violations, but this is the big one. He pointed to a geological survey map. The land he bought from... The Peterson sits on unstable ground. There's a history of sinkholes in that area. Noah studied the map. So building houses there would be dangerous. Extremely, Robert confirmed, and expensive to mitigate. That's why he's so desperate for your property. He needs the more stable land on your side of the ridge to make the development viable. Eva looked at the documents, anger building inside her. So he knows this, but he's still planning to build houses there. That's criminal. Not quite, Robert said, but it's certainly unethical. And if the county commissioners knew about these risks, they'd never approve his permits. Noah and Eva exchanged a look, understanding passing between them without words. When's the next county meeting? Noah asked. Tomorrow night, Robert replied. 7 o'clock at the courthouse. The following evening, the county commissioner's meeting room was packed. Word had spread about the controversial development, and local farmers had turned out in force, concerned about what Matthews' plans might mean for their community. Darren Matthews presented his proposal with slick confidence, showing beautiful renderings of Riverbend Estates, an upscale housing development that would bring economic growth to the area. When he finished, Noah stood to address the commissioners. Eva watched with pride as he spoke clearly and passionately about the importance of preserving farmland, about the real economic benefits of supporting local agriculture. And then he pulled out the documents Robert had found. Before you approve any permits for this development, Noah said, you should know about these geological surveys. showing significant sinkhole risks on the property in question. An uproar followed. Matthews tried to dismiss the concerns, claiming the reports were outdated, but the damage was done. The commissioners voted unanimously to delay any permit approvals pending a new independent environmental and geological assessment. Outside the courthouse, Matthews confronted Noah and Eva, his face flushed with anger. "You think you've won?" he seethed. "But this is just a delay. I'll get my permits eventually." "Maybe," Eva replied calmly. "But now everyone knows the truth. How many people will want to buy houses built on unstable ground?" Matthews jabbed a finger at them. "You'll regret this. Small farms like yours are dying. It's just a matter of time." "You're wrong," Noah said, his arm around Eva's shoulders. "Small farms aren't dying. They're evolving, and will be here long after you've moved on to your next scheme." As Matthews stormed off to his car, Eva leaned into Noah's embrace. "Think we've seen the last of him?" "For now, at least," Noah replied. "He'll find an easier target." The victory over Matthews' development breathed new life into their plans for Riverbend Farm. With the immediate threat removed, Noah and Eva focused on their spring planting and the completion of the barn renovation. Word of their stand against the developer spread through the farming community, and they found unexpected support. Neighbors offered equipment loans and labor exchanges. The local farmers' market gave them a prime spot for their produce. A farm-to-table restaurant in town signed a contract to buy their organic vegetables. By early spring, the renovated barn was ready to open as a farm store. Eva stood in the freshly painted space, arranging displays of early produce, homemade jams, and local honey. "What do you think?" she asked Noah as he brought in the last of the shelving. "Will people actually come all the way out here to shop?" "They already are," Noah pointed out. "The social media campaign your father's girlfriend set up has been getting shares all week. We've got 40 people signed up for the grand opening tomorrow." Eva smiled, still amazed at how everything had fallen into place. Her father had become one of their strongest supporters, his business background proving invaluable as they navigated loans and contracts. Carol, with her community connections from years of teaching, had helped spread the word about their new venture. "I never imagined any of this," Eva said, gesturing around the store. "A year ago, I was just trying to survive day to day." Noah pulled her into his arms. "And now I'm planning for next year and the year after that." She looked up at him. "Our wedding? Maybe someday our children." The surprise on Noah's face made her laugh. "Don't look so shocked. Is it that hard to imagine me as a mother?" "No," Noah said quickly. "It's just that we haven't talked about kids before." "I've been thinking about it lately," Eva admitted. "Watching you with the Peterson kids when they come over. You'd be a wonderful father." Noah's expression softened. "And you'd be an amazing mother." The next day, the farm store's grand opening exceeded all their expectations. Cars lined the driveway, and customers filled the barn, exclaiming over the fresh produce and artisanal products. Eva moved through the crowd, answering questions and taking notes for future inventory. In a quiet moment, she found herself standing beside her father near the entrance. "You've done something remarkable here," Robert said, watching the bustling store. "Your sister would be so proud of you." The mention of Maria no longer brought only pain. Eva had learned to carry her sister's memory differently now, as inspiration rather than guilt. "I think about her every day," Eva said. "Sometimes I imagine her here arranging flowers or chatting with customers." Robert nodded, his eyes misty. She would have loved this place. He hesitated, then added, "I have something for you. A wedding gift, though it's a bit early." He handed her a small box. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a pendant in the shape of a butterfly, Maria's favorite. "It was your mother's," Robert explained. "Then Maria's. Now it should be yours." Eva clutched the necklace, emotions welling up inside her. "Thank you, Dad." As the day drew to a close and the last customers left, Eva and Noah stood on the porch of the farmhouse, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. "Successful day?" Noah asked, his arm around her waist. "Very," Eva confirmed. "We sold almost everything, and we've got 20 sign-ups for the CSA program already." Noah smiled. "Not bad for a dying business, huh?" Eva laughed, leaning into his embrace. Matthews had no idea who he was dealing with, They stood in comfortable silence, watching as the colors faded from the sky and the first stars appeared. In the distance, the lights of the barn store glowed warmly against the gathering. Darkness. I was thinking, Noah said after a while, about the wedding. What about it? Eva asked. What would you think about having it here, under the oak tree where my parents got engaged? Eva looked toward the ancient oak, imagining it strung with lights, surrounded by flowers. I think it would be perfect. Noah turned to face her, taking both her hands in his. I never thought I'd find someone who loves this land the way I do, who sees what I see when I look at those fields. And I never thought I'd find somewhere I belonged again, Eva replied softly. Someone I belonged with. As they stood together in the gentle spring evening, Eva thought about the journey that had brought her to this moment, the pain and loss that had sent her running across the country, the chance that had led her to Riverbend Farm, the courage it had taken to stop running, to face her past, to open her heart again. The soil here was soft enough for new beginnings, for healing, for love to take root and grow. And Eva Ramirez, who had once believed she didn't deserve happiness, now knew differently. With Noah beside her and the farm spreading out around them, she had found not just a place to stay, but a place to live. Not just a house, but a home. Not just an ending to her running, but a beginning of something far more beautiful than she had ever dared to dream. The end.